Hey, welcome. So today's video is all about how to get a festival look, but in terms of actual wear. There's a lot of really cute videos out there of like cute festival looks, but I haven't seen anybody actually show you any of their tips and tricks of how they keep their makeup all day long at a festival. So I'm going to give you some of mine because it tends to be hot and you're outside all day. Also, in terms of being practical, we're probably not bringing in a bunch of makeup with us to watch music. So I'm just practical, and these are the things that I specifically do to keep everything on all day so I don't have to touch up. All these things are actually things that I do. I've applied them. I've actually used them in 110-degree heat. They work for me. I have combination skin. I'm very dry, so patches cling, but I also get very oily in the T-zone, so I like to stay away from things that are going to make me oily, and I also stay away from things that are going to make me dry. So I hope you enjoyed this, and if you want to see all the tips and tricks, just keep watching. Okay, I'm going to start with a sunscreen, SPF moisturizer, because you're going to be in the sun all day and you don't want to burn. And this is the Olay Micro Sculpting Cream with sunscreen, SPF 30, and this one's really nice. It smells really good, and it has SPF 30, so that's nice. After the SPF, I go in with the primer that I know helps make the foundation last longer. And I use this Nivea Potion Balm because it's really sticky. This I find helps everything not to budge. So you just kind of want to work it in until it starts to feel tacky. Right here in this T-zone, not even fully here, but just right over here, I take a pore filler. And this is the NYX Pore Filler, and I just press that in there like you're filling holes in a wall. I would probably press it in instead of smear it everywhere because it can like look streaky, and I think if you try to apply your makeup on top of it, it's going to be streaky, so I would press this stuff in. So here, your SPF, your primer that's going to make it last long. I would stay away from a dewy primer because you're already going to be sweating, and that's just going to make everything move around and you're going to have splotches of makeup missing. So probably a long lasting primer or a pore filler if you need it. But kind of stay away from anything dewy or luminous because you're going to be sweating through the day. You're already going to look dewy by halfway through the day because you're in the sun. So you don't really need anything to help aid that on faster. And then my favorite foundation to use when we're going to be in the heat, the sun, for like 16 hours a day is the Kat Von D Lock-It foundation. And it's super mattifying, so if you have really dry skin, you probably won't like this. So I would suggest moisturizing like even more crazy than I just did underneath, but it really doesn't budge all day, so that's the only reason to choose it. Or the Milani 2-in-1 concealer, that one works the same, but just I don't think it lasts as long, so I just always go in with this and just start with very light layers and like buff it in, because if you try to go in heavy-handed, it can look like a hot mess, like you're super cakey. So I literally take just like a little dollop and I just start working in sections. And then because this shade is too tan, everything in the store looks like it's my color until I get it home. It's not. You're going to want to make sure you take it all the way down your neck and blend it to the tanner part of me. And then I use a damp sponge because I think it helps it layer better and it's not as thick. And the same for the foundation. I almost would stay away from anything that promises to be dewy, luminous, glowy, because you can achieve that with powders, and I'll show you how, without having to add creams on top of creams and top of oil-based products to give it to you, because again, it's going to start splotching out through the day, it's going to start breaking up on your nose, the sunglass imprints are going to start moving around everywhere, and you just kind of don't really want that when you don't have plans to fix your makeup all day. I mean, I know. I'm staying out of the under eyes because we're already going to put concealer there, and you don't want to layer any more than you have to because it can start creasing, flaking off if you have dry skin. So I tend to leave the under eyes with no foundation and just use the concealer to fix those areas. It helps the concealer last longer and everything not look cakey. Now that I have the base done, we're going to go in with concealer. This one's a Milani Retouch and Erase. You can use like the Tarte Shape Tape. I heard that's like really full coverage, but I don't need that much coverage, and this one kind of highlights and illuminates the area, so I really like this one lately. And this can last a really long time too, and that's another reason why I'm choosing it. I've never had really problems with this breaking up or fading. I'm going to use this to spot conceal as well. And then I'm going to do one side and immediately set it with powder so it doesn't crease and it really locks in everything. Mine creases very fast, so the trick is to just go in immediately with powder and go and set it. And I'm just going to make sure that's buffed out. Really press that in. Don't smear it, you want to press. And I'm going to kind of bake under everything. If you have dry skin, this might be a hot mess for you, but I like to do this just so that way it doesn't move throughout the day. It's not my favorite way, but it's the way that's going to make it stay. So I wouldn't do this on a daily basis. And I'm going to do my smile lines. I'm going to do my chin, because I crease right here too. I'm going to do the forehead, the other under eye, and I'm going to especially do right here on the nose. I know it's really weird, but that's where your sunglasses lay. And it can tend to peel up the makeup, so setting it with or baking it will help prolong the makeup from splitting apart right there. And I'm not putting like a ton on because it's too much and mine will look so crusty. And the powder I use is this Loreal Hydra Perfecte. It's just a loose powder. This smells like perfume though, so if you don't like smells, you're not gonna like this. And this does make me sneeze. That's how like perfumey and flowery it smells. So you've been warned. But while I wait for that, I'm gonna go in with a mattifying. If you don't have oily skin, you probably don't need to do this. I do. Well, I don't have totally oily skin, that's a lie, but it gets oily throughout the day. And I'm just gonna press this into all the areas, including my neck, because remember I took that down on my neck. Right here on my forehead too. I'm gonna go in with the Colourpop Taupe Brow Color. I prefer pomades. I feel like pencils tend to move around. Then I'm gonna set it with some brow mascara. And I don't really have an unruly brow, so I just use like a cheap one from like Essence. But if you do, you probably are going to want something like hardcore super glue gel, but I don't. And does this powder wipe? Because again, if it sits too long or if I have too much on, it will look like a crusty mess, so. This is kind of why I didn't use like a brighter under eye concealer, is because this powder is already light as it is and it kind of brightens it up. And then I'm just going to go in with the CoverGirl Advanced Radiance powder. Kind of loosely buff some of this in because it'll brighten it up a little bit more too without having to use the cream or anything, or layer a highlighting cream on top, which can look like a hot mess after 12 hours in sun. I'm going to prime my lids, and my favorite one is the Matte Paint Pot by Matte Paint Pot in Soft Ochre. It's a little bit more dry, but it really makes everything stick to it, so you kind of have to warm it up in your finger and then really warm it up on the eyelid to get it to apply, not like streaky. Because if you don't, it'll dry and then you'll have like a streak right here where the product starts and your skin starts. So you really want to work this with your fingertips in here. This is probably the best primer I've ever used, just because, yeah, it is hard to work with, but everything just sticks there. So another tip that I'm going to show you right now, you're not going to want to go immediately in with like your crease shade or anything. You're going to want to take a powder, like a translucent powder or an eyeshadow, and kind of buff over it real quick, so that way you have like powder already on there, so when you go in to buff, it just smooths on up and it's not getting stuck to the sticky part of the primer. And I'm going to use, we're going to keep it simple and use the Shade and Light palette by Kat Von D. These eyeshadows last forever. They never fade, so I think these are perfect to use when you're in the sun and you're not going to be fudging around with any of this. And I'm just taking the light shade right here and just buffing this everywhere so we can get a nice base. And now we're just going to go in with this shade right here. And just take this all in the crease in the outer corner. I'm not doing anything like extravagant or like festival inspired. This is strictly just long wearing products and products that I use so they don't fade. The last thing you want to be doing is messing with your makeup or bringing extra products in that you don't really want to bring, like a full purse. Like I don't bring anything but like a lip gloss in. And then I'm just gonna go in and I'm gonna put a little bit of this in there just to warm it up a little bit. The next I'm gonna use this red shade. I'm just gonna use the same brush and put this on the outer part of my corner eye and then just kind of flick it in. I'm just gonna use a flat brush. I'm going to go in with this shade. It's not as white as this one. It's a little bit more off-white. Lid. I want it to be a little bit brightened. Man. And I'm just going to repeat those colors on the bottom lash line. I'm not doing anything. I'm just showing that this palette is one of my favorites just because they're all matte. So if you like mattes, you can also put some shimmer on there or whatever. I like the L'Oreal Infallible singles. Those are really nice. I love the Amber Rush color to put here. But these just never fade, they never crease. They're just really good to wear long term. So always grab this palette if I'm going to be out and about for a long time in the sun. So I recommend this one or the Anastasia Beverly Hills palette. I mean, I have the Modern Renaissance palette and those last a long time too. They're really pigmented. So either those two, anything that lasts really long, it's not going to fade. So it's kind of, you're going to have to gauge what that is for you. But this one is the bomb. So I would recommend this one. So I'm going to do eyeliner next, and my two favorites is anything matte and not creamy. I would not use any creamy black eyeliner because it's going to smudge, it's going to transfer, it's just a hot mess. So I'm just going to go in with the Kat Von D Tattoo Liner and Trooper. There's also Jessie's Girl like dupe for this, and it's just as good. The only thing is I would say it doesn't apply as black, you kind of have to go back over it, but it's exactly the same thing, brush tip, matte, smudge proof. So that's kind of when you want to go for, especially when you're around a bunch of people like crowded. You just don't want all this like moving around. Like believe me, it's hot. So in the bottom lash line, I don't really like to use black creams in my lower line, just because I know me and they're gonna smear. So I'm gonna go in with this Tarte SmolderEYES. It's a gold. You can use a beige, doesn't matter, but this one does not budge. Like as soon as it dries, like if you can see it, it like doesn't budge. You probably can't see that, but that's fine. And then I'm not even gonna mess with an eyeliner at the top. It just, I know that it's gonna smear. They're gonna transfer to your bottom. So if you wear all black, I've even tried the Urban Decay 24/7 eyeliner and it still budges. So I just did not mess with black eyeliner on my top and bottom. It's gonna be a mess. It's gonna start going out here. 9 out of 10, don't recommend. So I'm gonna curl my lashes. I'm gonna put barely any mascara, but I'm actually gonna put false eyelashes on. And the reason for this is because mascara can flake off and it'll land right here, and then you'll be outside and you'll rub it, or God forbid somebody else rubs it and they do it to you, and the little flecks will smear on your sweat. So then you'll have these little lines going across your face from the fallen mascara, and it's a hot mess. So I just don't even bother with it. I use really thin ones. I use the Ardell Demi Whispies. They have a thin band. I'm not going to feel them the whole day. They're light. They're not going to be heavy by the end of the day. And I don't have to worry about mascara falling, mascara rubbing, my eyelashes falling, like not being perky. It's just, overall, I recommend just doing that if you're used to that. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to take some makeup setting spray and set down all the powders before I go with bronzer blush. It helps it not look powdery and cakey if you kind of go in with layers. Don't drench yourself with it, but just work in layers with this spray. So the next few steps is just like bronzer, blush, highlight. It's nothing new here, I just use things that last a long time, but I do apply my bronzer differently because I want it to stay on all day. I'm going to use the Butter Bronzer in Light. Instead of using like a normal, what I typically would use like a fluffy brush, I go in with the Real Techniques buffing brush, which is technically a foundation brush, and I kind of go tap all the excess and I press this into my cheeks. I'm going to press like this and then kind of buff out. I find that when you press this in, it kind of meshes with everything and lasts a lot longer as if I was just dusted on my cheeks. And bronzer is kind of one of those things that tend to fade away on me. So I'm really pressing this in and then blending it out. Again, I'm staying away from any cream products. Cream is just gonna melt, go over, make you oily, and I just don't think it's necessary for trying to stay not dewy or oily looking. And then I'm not going to contour. I'm not really big on contouring right now, so I'm just going to skip that. But I would even suggest doing that the same for the contour, like going in with even a smaller dense brush and like carving out the cheeks and then blending it up. And if you want to be super glowy, I would even go in with something that has more of a sheen. This sort of this applies matte, but I have bronzers that apply like a sheen. That's really gonna help you look glowy without using any cream products to do that. And using anything with a sheen is really gonna help since this foundation is really matte and can make you look dull. And then I'm gonna go in with, it's the Wet n Wild. It's called Rosé Champagne, and it's very sheen, and I don't even know. This isn't a blush at all. It's supposed to be a blush. This is not a blush. It's like a really light bronzer with like a sheen and some flex shimmers in it. So pigmented, and these last so long. And I love using this like on top of the bronzer and up because it's gonna help create some glow, again without using any cream products. And then highlight, I'm just gonna go in with this e.l.f. Baked Highlighter in Moonlight Pearls first, and then I'm gonna go in with my second favorite, which is the Vintage Illuminating Face Highlighter set. And I'm gonna use the Rose Quartz side. It's like this more pinky color. This one's like more of a taupe brown color. This one's more pinky. I'm just gonna go on with both because I'm feeling crazy. And then this highlighter, this e.l.f. one, it lasts so long. Not even joking. And it's easy to layer up, so if you don't want like a huge amount of highlight, you don't have to. And then if you want the glow, you can kind of go over your cheeks right here to help with that. And I'm going to keep this pink one more on the high points. Oh yeah. And then I'm going to go in, I'm going to spray again because you want this to set. So again, for the setting sprays, I wouldn't recommend anything dewy, anything luminous, nothing like that. Just get one that's going to make your makeup last. Anything that's going to have the dewiness is going to break up your makeup throughout the day. The outside and the sun's already going to make you look oily and greasy. So there's no sense of trying to look like that already and then just looking completely like a grease ball by the end of the day. So anything that's going to make your makeup set and just last. Nothing dewy or luminous. And lips, I try to stay away from a bold color only because trying to apply out at festivals is like annoying. So if you could do that, props to you, but I can't, especially if you've been drinking, like trying to put on a dark brown lipstick color or something, like it's just not going to happen. Just a realist. Two options. My favorite is the Vivid Matte Liquids from Maybelline. These are satin finish, they're not matte, and they're not transfer proof, but they're very comfortable and creamy and they smell good. And then I'm actually going to use this one by Misha! My other favorites are the Wet n Wild lipsticks. They are pretty much bunch proof and they're actually very comfortable. And there you have it. Check it out. I hope you enjoyed all these tips to keep your makeup on in the super hot sun in a festival. And if you have any products that are your favorites for long lasting wear, you should leave them down below. And we'll see you again soon. Bye!